We'll do it live. Bam, bam, bam. Yo, put your hell. I like that.
Wow.
Put your hands together. This is Self-AWRE.
Self-AWRE podcast 2 now with
Mixed
the
drinks.
intro features. We've come a long way.
Yo, we be doing a live show in Atlantic City at the Bellagio.
You get
Welcome to Parade.
hey, you get 100 views on your first day. You're getting that.
Yeah.
And buddy, I mean, could you imagine if we did a live show at Harrah's Pool after dark while Ashanti was playing?
Oh my gosh.
Maybe we get Ja to show up.
I don't think I
Where
would
would I be when I'm a
wouldn't be
baby?
Very good.
That would be Fire Festival.
That would be fire. Yeah.
Like what I
They're
did
coming
there?
out.
Wow.
There's actually a second one apparently coming
Fire
out.
Festival 2?
Really?
You have to have a first one to have a second.
Does he go back to jail or no?
No, the guy, like he was, and then apparently, no, this is the most unbelievable thing. They're coming out with a second one, and then literally like last week, it got held up. You're like, no, shocking.
What's crazy is like,
Come on, who buys a ticket to
not
that?
only did they buy the first one, they're going to buy the second one.
Yeah.
We have a legitimate company that no one will use. You know what I'm saying? This guy's doing fake.
Yeah, we got to get that guy.
people.
Yeah.
Let's get that guy on
Yeah.
the pod.
He's the marketing.
Um,
Yeah. He was
but-
selling fake Taylor Swift tickets at one point.
Yeah. Well, after
Really?
he got
After
caught.
Fire Fest,
After
he got
got
caught, and they were
yeah.
like, they give him a slap on the wrist, like, "Don't do it again." And then he was like, "Okay, fine," and then started selling fake concert tickets.
I think it was in
This
the
guy's
hotel after his
superstar.
hearing.
we got to
or
get
whatever.
him on.
Yeah.
Um,
We got to get him on.
Yeah.
before Fire 2.
Have him invest.
So we just finished up Self-AWRE 1. We talked to 3 unbelievable student athletes who put things in perspective that quite shocking to me. So after the podcast was over with those guys and we released it, I got some DMs from some parents and some student athletes who said, that's awesome that these kids have that perspective, but it is easy when you're playing on a team full of dudes, right? D1 commits and kids who, like Aaron said, I think iron sharpens iron. So they said, hey, I play on a poor team. What that means, I don't know. I'm one of the only commits. I'm one of the only ones that is very serious about the sport. Coach isn't as prepared as maybe their coaches were. So, what am I supposed to do? And then some parents were actually kind of, making it as an excuse for their student athlete on, well, it's not that high school baseball is not that important. We wait for travel because the high school team isn't as serious and so forth. But my contention was always that, man, there's always an opportunity of growth, right? Good team, bad team, whatever, you can grow. What are your all's perspective on playing on maybe not as talent rich of a team as some of our guests were the other day?
Yeah. Before we go into the bad team,
Okay.
I think
I like
that some of those kids who we had on the other day, like Aaron said, that they've been playing since they were like 12 together. So, I mean, those kids have, they could have been on a bad team at some point.
Sure.
They were definitely on
On a bad team at some point,
Yeah.
right? And
And we're using
But that
bad.
yeah,
I mean,
like
bad.
that's the other thing.
Bad's relative,
They might
right?
have been on a bad team, but they probably won that.
exactly.
Bad team a
Yes,
lot of
that's
games.
exactly what I was gonna
Oh,
say.
this team's
Yes.
good.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly
and
right,
instead
yes.
of being, at the moment being like, I need to switch teams or whatever it was when they were bad, they're process driven, being
Man.
like, we're going to grind out and being
Yeah.
pretty good together.
That's
and it's a process for throughout their entire career that they've gotten really, really good. And now they happen to be in the scene. Like, do they think that's a coincidence?
But it's also
you know what I mean?
you're
Yeah.
also building
Yeah.
in an excuse.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, when I was in high school, and I'm not trying to, back in my day,
but back in my day,
my shortstop, and when I was
stud.
in high school was
Stud.
No,
Oh,
he
I thought you were
had
talking about-
he had the range of Kenny Kawaguchi, which is
Who-
a backyard baseball deep reference for y'all.
Yeah, but he's actually pretty good.
I mean, the problem was when he tried to go side to side because he had to turn the entire wheelchair.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
That's true.
Yeah.
Honestly, a good comparison for that would have been Keisha Phillips. She has no range.
I don't even know what y'all are talking about.
I look like Keisha Phillips.
Backyard baseball.
That's so good. You look like Jacinda Smith.
I don't
Okay.
know this game.
With the headphones
You've never played
on.
backyard baseball?
No.
With the
All right,
headphones
well, Kenny
on, it looked
Kawaguchi
like
was in a
Achman
wheelchair.
Khan.
That's what
Yes,
I got it.
But like, dude, kind of raked.
Yeah, like
Sure.
could hit.
Like
Actually was
no
pitched
one
pretty
took him, but like you put him in like the 6 hole, they're just gonna start.
look
They're
out.
like, oh, I feel bad for this kid. Let's start dialing him up fastballs. He
You
just-
know Pablo Sanchez.
All right, sorry. Let's get back on track though. You
What?
know who Pablo Sanchez?
I have no idea who Pablo Sanchez is.
That's insane. Not to be confused with Pablo Matos.
Yeah,
Who's
fair.
an unbelievable aware sports
Yeah.
employee.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised. I thought
can't
backyard
believe-
baseball was still not saying like
What are
you're
you
way
trying to
older
say?
than him, but like
What are
you're
you trying to? Whoa.
Like,
Stevie, that was
it is
probably right in
right in your time.
Yeah,
because
I
I was
I wasn't a backyard baseball guy.
Oh, okay.
Backyard baseball's
Can we drop it?
sure fine. But what I was gonna say was my shortstop was very bad. Our first baseman, I don't even know if he had a glove, right? Like you just like I'm not gonna lose today.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds dumb, but like how many games do you watch where you're like, oh, like I want to say Michael Jordan, but I'm too young for that. But there were games where Derek Jeter was like, we're just gonna win today. You know, they're like, I don't know. There's stories of all those pitchers like Maddox that was like, oh guys, just go score one run. I'll take care of the rest today. Like I see it too, Steve, to build off of your point of like, well, the team's not very good, or we're gonna wait for trap. Like we used to coach summer games, and an umpire would call a pitch, 4 inches off a strike, and then the parents are yelling at the umpire, that's a terrible call. You took the bat out of his hands. Now that kid hears that. Well, now I mean that's
it's not my
now
fault.
if I strike out, it's his fault.
Yeah.
Well, you swung through the other two that were right down the middle. Like how? Like what are you controlling what you can control?
Yeah.
Right. And it's so easy. Like if I get a ground ball to second base as a pitcher and he boots it. Well, that's not an earned run, so it doesn't matter.
Yes.
No, I gotta who cares? Like
yeah.
I just gotta like, what do I now have to do?
We're
to make
losing now.
this
We're losing.
solution.
Like we
It's-
should be upset about it.
This
But
is
the a lot of the players don't hate losing. And they, you know what I mean? Like they genuinely don't hate losing
Yeah.
and like need to win.
Well, I think also
It's-
some of those. Sorry, Stevie. I think some of those teams going into the season. I know some of the people who message you, Steve, already have a preset mindset that
Sure.
are like, oh, we're not. If we win half our games this year, it's a
well, they
solid
read the
year.
newspaper,
Yeah.
and the newspaper says they're going to finish fourth in the
exactly,
division,
exactly.
and then they
Yes.
feed
Yeah.
off that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I look at like those the top 25,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like, well, they're the number 3 team in the country. Like, some random people just decided they're the
Yes.
number 3 team in the
Who's
country.
never
And then
even
at the
played
end
the
of the
sport,
season,
or-
they're not
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
ranked.
Yeah.
what's
They're making it up, and then after they're not ranked, they're like, "Oh, well, this is why they're not ranked."
Yeah,
You
yeah.
told me they were the 3rd best team in the country.
Yeah.
You told me that kid was the best player in the country. He's
Yeah.
hitting 210.
yeah.
You're just making it up.
It's amazing. I brought this to the table not knowing where the conversation would go, and I didn't think it would go this route, but that's why I love talking to you guys, because you guys bring up stuff that you're like, oh my gosh, this is different than I thought it was going to be, but it's awesome. And to your point, Howie, I say this all the time. I was on a team that was good because I was on the team, and that's got to be your philosophy. Like, my team is going to be the good team.
yes.
Why? Because I'm on the team.
Yeah.
And so when I brought the question, I didn't even think of that. Like, oh, I'm on a bad team. It's like, what makes good or bad? And it's to your point, the perception of good and bad. Like, oh, we're bad, therefore it's like reflective. It becomes bad. Oh, we're playing a team that has 8 D1 dudes today. We're gonna lose, or one D1 dude today. We're gonna lose.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, what a terrible attitude. So unbelievable. That is good points. And I've said this all the time, especially when coaching travel. You see that in travel. Oh, well, I got to jump to that team, and then I'm going to jump to that team. Because why? Oh, my team wasn't any good. Oh, that team wasn't any good. That team wasn't any good. There's a common theme here on all the teams you're on.
Yeah.
And it's you, my friend.
Yeah.
So
But then you also have, I mean, I love listening to Greg Maddox, or like reading his interviews, because the greats are also boiling it down to such digestible pieces. My team's just not very good. That is a macro, that's a big thought that has too many variables to even start pulling apart.
Yeah.
But then you're like it's the thing from Miracle. They're like, they may beat us 9 times out of 10, but not tonight. Like, that's the mindset, right?
tonight.
Like, I'm going to beat you today.
Yes.
Oh, you might beat me tomorrow, but not today.
100%.
So,
But Rob, to your point, I don't mean to cut you off. I've always said, and that's why I love that podcast today, process, then byproducts, right? So process, then results. To your point right now, dude, if I have that attitude, you're not going to beat me today because I'm going to put out the best I can.
Yeah.
Even if at the end of that day, the scoreboard says that, hey, I came in second place today.
Yeah.
I didn't, right? And I'm going to continually get better because I put that effort out.
Yeah.
If I go into the game saying, well, we're a bad team, this team's going to beat us.
Yep.
you clearly are not going to put everything on the line in order to grow and get better.
Yeah.
But it's also Mike Trout when he was 6. They weren't like, here's Mike Trout. He became Mike
Yes.
Trout
Yes.
by beating everyone.
Yeah.
And then it was he's Mike Trout.
Yes.
And then it's not this like for most people, it becomes the like, why did the Yankees win? Because everyone's too busy staring at the pinstripes, right? That line from Catch Me If You Can or whatever. Like
Hello, what a great movie.
that. Like
Great movie.
you get like if I'm pitching against Mike Trout in high school, like my mindset is I'm striking Mike Trout out 4 times.
Yes.
But
And
most
also so
kids are going to go
excited to
like
face
well,
Mike
like
Trout.
at the
Yep.
facility we had so many kids. Well, that kid's going to North
Yes.
Carolina.
Yes.
Okay. So just go strike him out and then you go to North Carolina.
Dude, it's so funny you said that. And then, okay, hey, I'm gonna strike him out 4 times, and he hits a bomb off me. Guess what?
I'm going to strike him out the next time.
Exactly right.
If you put me in the box right now against Alex Bregman, I'm striking him out.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I haven't thrown a baseball in 6 years.
Yes.
I'm still striking him out.
Yes.
And when he hits a bomb off me on the first pitch, and he's like, "That was one of the worst curveballs I've ever seen," and I'm going to strike him out the next
And
time.
I have obviously my son is way too little to be having these type of conversations, and he just started baseball. But I actually did have this conversation with him the other day. Right to your point, we go to Mike Trout. I'm going to strike this dude out 4 times. He hits 4 home runs off me. Well, now you have information though with which you can then get better from.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, if you expected to strike him out 4 times and he hits 4 bombs, dude, now you can reflect and be like, hey, what do I need to do better next time that I see that dude in the box? And then I am going to it takes what it takes. I am going to do what it takes the next time we play to strike that dude out 4 times. Because I clearly am not at the best that I can possibly be.
I would love to compare preparation of the kids who we spoke to Trinity, compared to those schools who say they are not on a good team.
You know what was interesting about the pod the other day was Tyler, to your point, Howie, that no one brought up, no one should. Tyler had a gallon of water that he was drinking the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, and I've seen kids do that in school when I was a teacher and whatnot. They had water, they're trying to gain weight and whatnot. But clearly that dude, he's on a podcast and he was, I have to drink this. I have to drink this water. And he mentioned about, remember, I think he was the one who answered, what's the one advice get stronger, weight room. Mm-hmm. Clearly that dude is doing something, right? So even while he was on a podcast, he was still doing something to improve himself.
Nothing's going to change his process.
That's and again, we keep hyping these kids up because they
deserve to be hyped up.
Yes, 100%. But to your point, Rob, and I think that gets lost. Like one of my favorite players of all time is one of the kids I'm talking about. He's a catcher, right? And I'm like, man, what a great opportunity to be a catcher on a bad team, right? Because it's easy to catch the dude. It's easy to catch Aaron, dude. Yo, throw 93 with this much run, and then we're going to back up a slider. Call your own game, Aaron. You know what I mean? Like, hey, it's easy to catch with a really good coach in the dugout who's calling the game and game planning. It is hard to catch and be successful with a dude on the bump who doesn't have
and
it.
You can also say, all right, you know what? Now I also have to take control of the running game.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, hey, this is the sign for slide
much
step.
to learn.
When I give you this, I need you holding the baseball for 4 seconds.
And then what about-
I need a quick pitch.
and
I
then
need
what
a
about-
pick here.
If I need to go out to the mound real quick and calm him down real quick because he's throwing so many balls in the dirt, I need to go
And
out
it's
and
on
do
me.
that for him.
And it's
Yeah,
on me. And then the preparation going in. Okay, what's the lineup? You know, what is their lineup? What is 1 through 9? What do we need to do to win this game? I control every element.
What
do I have a
weapons
notebook
does this
that
pitcher
I'm
have that I could use?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, he doesn't throw this for
Who's
strikes?
available?
Okay, then let's go to 0-2.
Yes.
He's
And-
basically becoming the coach of that game.
And you want to talk about like learning the game,
awesome.
right? Like becoming, and then like in your head, you're like, hey, my dude on the bump is not a D1 dude. They have a lineup of 9 D1 dudes. All right, how do we compete? And hey, maybe at the end of the game, the scoreboard says that we didn't win. I don't care, right? Because I got better today because of my preparation and because what I did. And then after the game, guess what? I'm then going to reflect on it. I'm going to take my notebook. What did I want to do? What went well? What didn't go well? And then, this could be me being Pollyanna and not understanding how kids are today. If I'm a kid on that team and I see the catcher doing this, like taking notes, going through, I'm going, man, this kid gets it. And that's going to make me want to be better. I truly believe that kids can bring other kids up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, I started winning the book for book club.
Yep, May 19th.
Little plug here, Self-AWRE book club.
May 19th.
May 19th, you need to get everyone you know there. Okay. So the two biggest things that stood out to me in that book so far, I've highlighted basically the entire book
Sure.
so far, but there's two. which
It's just every line. Dude, I do that all
I'm
the
Miss Lippy with the glue.
dude. But I do that all the time. I'll take a book and then I'll look. I'm like, wait, I just highlighted the whole book. Like, what am I going to do with this?
But there's two things that I think relate to what you're saying that really stood out to me. Number one, he was talking about Michael Jordan and Kobe. Basically, Michael Jordan was like, I will drag everybody along.
Yes.
Whether you want to be dragged with me or not, if you're on my team, you're doing it this way or you're not on the team anymore.
Yep.
Right? So there was like, this is the standard. You either meet that standard or you don't. Where Michael Jordan wasn't like, I'm on a bad team. It was like, we're a good team now. And if you don't want to be on a good team, you need to go elsewhere.
Yes.
Like, it's crazy. You watch these organizations, the ones with good cultures win all the time.
All the time.
Like, I can't believe that. Like the Patriots won every year, and you're like,
shocking.
No one was even like, there were no studs. Those guys would then sign contracts on other teams, and they would be nobody.
And the Jets haven't won a playoff game since like 2010.
And the GM, the president
Jets
is awful.
fan.
It's a revolving door.
Jet
Sorry, the owner, not the president, Woody Johnson. But the other thing that stood out to me in that book is he was like, stop with this thinking outside the box. There is no box. There's just, what's another way to go about this? How can I look at this from a different way than everyone else is looking at it to get the results I want? So, okay, this kid is not very good and these kids are D1. These D1 kids are probably used to seeing 88 to 92.
Yes.
So let's
all the time.
let's throw the ball 45 miles an hour every pitch. When I was coaching high school for the one piece, the portion that I did it, we played a team that was way better than us. And the head coach was like, we're not going to win this game, which I think is an insane thing to tell the kids before the game. He actually said that. He goes, we're going to throw our fourth best pitcher because we're not going to win. Well, why are we there? Like, it's a Saturday morning. Like, I have better things to do if we're going to go in this just to lose.
Yes.
So he throws this kid. The kid throws a knuckleball. So I go up to the kid before the game, and he's like, he's not like comfortable. I'm like, you good? And he's like, well, kids are good, whatever. I was like, dude, just throw a knuckleball every pitch.
Yeah.
The kid's knuckleball is nasty.
Yeah.
And he has a legit knuckleball. He's not one of those kids that's like, I throw a knuckleball, but he doesn't throw a knuckleball.
Yeah.
He actually has a really good knuckleball.
Yeah.
Well, I can't throw it. What if I walk the kids? I'm like, bro, you just said you feel like you're good.
Yes.
So he didn't throw it. Fast 79 to 82 mile an hour fastballs, laser show. We got lit up, of course, because the kids went into the game already beat. But if he had looked at that like, all right, what weapons do I have? There's these high school kids don't see knuckleballs.
Yes.
I have a really good one.
Yep.
I'm just going to go throw a bunch of knuckleballs.
Yep.
And then I'll control the running game.
Yes.
So I'll mix in fastballs. We'll pitch out a little bit. So I let them know, I just thought of the game in a completely different way that they were not ready to be attacked in that way.
Yeah.
So now I have them on the defensive when they think I'm going to come out like gun shy.
And it's
that's not thinking outside the box.
Right.
Like, you need to zig when everyone else is zagging. Those kids that we talked to from Trinity are saying everyone's doing things this way. We're doing it the other way.
Sure.
Yeah.
Every situation should be, well, how can I, Obstacle is the Way, it's another great book. How can I spin this to my advantage instead of looking at things like, if you want to be a victim of your circumstances, you will always find a way to be a victim of your circumstances.
Yes,
Always.
100%.
The world is not
You'll
owned by
find
people that
reasons.
think that world is woe is me.
Yes.
The meek will not inherit the earth. I promise you that.
And obstacle is the way stuff. Like you just said it. It's so funny. If you're on a bad team, you're like, well, that is an obstacle and it's an opportunity to get better. But to your point before, what I've noticed with good teams, when they expect to win, when you actually are competing with them, what happens?
Whoa.
And then pressure. And then, whoa.
That's every Mighty Ducks movie. When the kids come out and they're like, I'm Igor. And then all of a sudden, they're like, Mighty Ducks are like, come on, guys.
Yes.
And the girl like figure skates around everyone. And the guy's like, we do not know how to deal with this. And then they win.
But it's true because then you're like, oh, we're supposed to be beating this team. This team doesn't have any D1 kids. What are we doing here? And then the coach started, and you just see this thing happening, unraveling.
Snowballs.
And then your confidence builds momentum. It's just such a different thing. It's such an opportunity to be, quote unquote, the underdog.
Yeah.
To be the quote unquote bad team, that you should embrace it. Embrace it not only for growth, but also embrace it because, hey, dude, we can actually mess with other teams.
And put a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
That's
like,
always been.
there's so many
Yes.
games in high school. I remember like I'd warm up and like I had really good numbers. So like they'd be like, all right, this guy really good. And then they'd see me warm up and they're like, this is the guy. Like they would say, like, we're gonna crush this dude. And then by the third inning, I'd have 8 strikeouts. They're like, how is this kid beating us? Like,
Yeah.
like because you know what I'm
Robbie undersells himself a little bit, doesn't he?
No, but you know what I'm saying? I'm a
I know.
dog.
I know.
I'm
what
a
you're
dog.
saying. I know, but you're also very good.
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is-
yeah.
No,
I want people to know that.
I got swag. I own
No,
my shit.
but think of college.
I'm not one of those like I was unbelievable. Like I'm not saying there's plenty of guys that are better.
but
I'm just
I know
saying
I know
own
you
my
guys
mindset.
I know you guys are the same with me, right? In college, we didn't play at top 25 programs, played at good programs, good teams, but you weren't you weren't gonna go. You weren't a blue blood that's gonna win the national championship or be in contention. I guess it was always amazing to me, and I loved my teammates and I loved everyone about it. It was always amazing to me. We play, number 1 team in the country, number 2 team in the country, and it was like, oh well, yeah, no, I don't care who we're playing.
Yeah.
We're playing number 1 team in the country. Fantastic. Let's get after it. Why? Because I'm just as good as them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I may literally be delusional in that fact, but I don't understand how that isn't the philosophy of every single person that puts cleats on and steps on a baseball.
Yeah, and I think that's the difference between the mentality and what's actually at hand, right? So,
Yes.
for example, same thing what you guys were just talking about. Use everything that you can, like your weapons. Use them to the best way that possible for the specific instance that you're in.
Yes.
Where I used to get this all the time when I was at Rutgers when you left, but no big deal. You should have stayed. But
Got my master's paid for, boy.
but I used to get this all the time from our coaches, our coaching staff, and they'd be like, "Howie, man, you're a good pitcher. You'd be like one of the better like Sunday starters in the country if you were on a good team." They would say that about our own team, about
Your own
about
coach.
me.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, "No, coach, I want to be on one of the best teams, and I want to be the best Friday starter, like in the country.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
not the best Sunday starter. I'm not your
Yeah.
best number 3 guy in the
Right.
country.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
I'm your
Yes.
best number 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
100%.
obviously I wasn't. Like that's not what I'm saying. But
Yeah.
at the same time, my mentality was, I'm going to face the
Today
number-
I'm going to
And-
be the best
and
player
we used to
in
play-
the country.
We used to play against great teams, obviously, and we
Yeah.
would face legit arms.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, I'm better than that.
Yeah.
kid
But that
today.
starts at the top. It's the
Yeah.
Dan Campbell thing with the
Exactly.
Lions.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's like we'd go down to Miami and we beat them a handful of times,
Yeah,
but like they'd be the number 9 team in the country,
Yeah.
preseason All-Americans. And
We were so pumped to play them every year.
in the
too. It
4th,
was a lot of
5th
fun.
inning, it's 1-1.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we're like, no, they're not that good.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they're good. Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, but
Yeah,
like,
right,
we're
right.
just as good as
Yes.
them.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
But then the 7th inning comes along and the third baseman boots a ground ball on our side, and everyone on the Rutgers side, because that's the mindset, was here. The wheels are about to fall
Yes.
off.
Yes. Yes.
Where if the coaches, but like the coaches started that, like, hey,
Sure.
we go down south,
Yeah,
let's
well,
try to steal a game. Like,
yeah,
why are we not
Steal a game.
sweeping this
Yes.
team?
Yes. Yes.
That
Dude.
like, how is that not? I don't understand how that's not the mindset. Like when we were coaching, I'd watch the kids. They go in and be like, "Well, that was a good game. We lost 6-2."
But that's Robbie.
Talk about that was a good game.
But to your point,
had 3 hits.
And again, when we're talking about Miami, Rutgers, college, you're talking about the top 1%.
Yeah,
players. It's so funny to me to have, and they're, a 22-year-old man throwing 95 is different than 85, whatever. But when you're talking about high school kids, you're talking about 15 to 18-year-old kids. What's the difference?
Yeah.
Like we had 3 dudes on the. What is the physical difference between those 3 kids who are on one of the top teams in the country and the team that is not?
Yeah.
They're 15, 18-year-old kids. There can't be that big of a gap
Yeah.
unless you allow there to be a gap over time.
Especially in hitters too, Stevie. I feel like some of the kids that I've seen who are dogs at the plate. But for example, the Tyler Ellis. From the videos I saw, he didn't seem like he was like this 6 foot.
But even
5
that, no,
dog.
he's not. But like, but all right, he's like a big, strong kid. But
Yeah.
but he got to be a big, strong
Exactly.
kid because
Correct.
of his preparation
Correct.
by
Yes.
drinking water,
And
getting
like
in the
you-
weight room,
and like
eating
you
a bunch
said,
of food.
Tyler Ellis became Tyler Ellis when he was like 12, 13
Sure.
years old.
Tyler Ellis could have decided at 13 that he didn't want
Exactly.
to do all that
Exactly.
work, and then he'd be a 6-year-old. Well, now these kids are bigger than me.
yes.
Like
right.
he
That's what
said,
I mean. What's the
I'm not
difference?
going to accept
Yes.
the fact
Yes.
that I'm this.
Yeah.
Here's a great example.
He could be
West-
6'5" for all I know.
What
I
about
really don't know.
Western Kentucky baseball this year?
They're nasty, aren't
They're
they?
unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah.
Their staff
Hilltoppers.
ERA is like.
Was it
I don't
Napoleon?
know. Yeah, pitch and go. Shout out to my boy Dylan Napoleon.
Dylan Napoleon?
Yeah, get yourself some tots.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Napoleon. That's
a great
That's an
reference.
unbelievable reference. That's an unbelievable reference.
but like Western Kentucky, before the season, and I mean this as a massive compliment, by the way. Before the season, no one had Western Kentucky on their bingo card to be. I mean, they beat University of Kentucky the other night. Like they're unbelievable as a team.
Yeah.
They're one of the best teams in the country. So if they, before the season, bought into that mindset as a coaching staff
Sure.
and players and was like, all right, guys, we're probably going to finish middle of the conference. Like, we'll win a couple games here. Something over there was these guys said, that's not the goal for us.
Correct.
Our goal is to win a national championship.
Right.
And then we let the chips fall where they may.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would
And
love
then
to
we're
talk
gonna,
to
and
those
then,
dudes.
and yeah, and then we're gonna work to that end, though. It's not just like, oh well, you know, I'm gonna be a D1 baseball player.
Yeah.
No, that's fine that you want to do that, but then you actually have to put in the
But
work.
the problem is the kids would rather put on their ice cream drip and tell everyone that they're committed and that
Yes.
they're so blessed to
Yes.
announce
Well,
that God gave them the opportunity to go
What
play.
design do you have in your sliding mitt?
Did you hear?
Are you asking me personally? Polka dots. I do want to quickly go back to the Western Kentucky thing just because I think it is such a good example.
or Austin P?
Yes.
How about how the job
Awesome.
he's doing down there?
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, our boy Roland Fanning.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go,
I mean,
go Governors.
Cousins with
Go
Dakota Fanning.
Go
Yeah.
Govs.
Yeah.
But same thing. I actually met him at a convention once, and he did a talk. And you want to talk about zigging while people are zagging? And I said that he's not for everyone. He's very unconventional. We'll call it. He's very
Let's get that man on the pod.
yeah. No, seriously, we should because he's very unconventional. He's different. He zigs while people zag. And again, because you're zigging while people are zagging, you're not going to be for everyone, right? That's just the whole point of it.
Yeah.
But
Which is great.
Yeah, you don't
But
want to
it's-
Find out find out the boys in the boat.
Yeah.
And
I
who's
don't-
got your back.
Yes, and I don't know. And again, that's why I want to have him on the podcast. It just based on the results, you got to think that the team has bought in, right? Like there's buy-in there. You know, he's not just zigging when everyone's like, I'm not buying.
Yeah.
Like he gets it, and he's creating a culture at a school that isn't the blue blood, but guess what? They're competing and beating the blue bloods.
Yeah.
You know,
Bad.
bad. That's
They're
what I'm saying.
beating bad.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So
them.
I didn't mean to cut you off on the Western
No,
Kentucky.
no,
thing.
I just-
who was before you keep going? Who was the Frozen Four winner? Was it Western Kentucky? No.
No, Western Michigan.
Western Michigan.
Yeah.
Sorry. Shout out Western Michigan.
They play hockey in Kentucky.
Sometimes.
Do they? I don't know.
It depends. Talk about that next episode.
Kentucky gets cold.
But no, I just like you look at schools like Western Kentucky and Austin P, and you know they could say, all right, let's turn in a 500 year and we'll compete for a conference championship. Where those coaches are obviously very clear, like we're building a culture here where this is a place that we're gonna get elite players. We're gonna make you better every single year, and then we're gonna go out and our expectation is to win a national championship. And then that's how those big nasty teams, that's how they become big and nasty because you make it a place that people want to be.
Yes.
So you get a couple big time recruits because you start having success, and then all of a sudden, all these gross kids that are nasty want to come here.
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you're a powerhouse.
You have a combination of now elite shit with
great culture.
zigging and zagging.
And
I mean, Tim Corbin has figured out how to get kids that should be going in the first 3 rounds to buy into playing like for a national championship.
Shout out Pat Riley. That is, it's crazy to me to think of. Would you rather play for a coach that has this unrealistic expectation for you, or would you rather play for a coach that has an expectation for you that is probably setting the bar too low? And that was a coach that I played for. Before my first year there, literally like maybe the weekend before, he had a talk and said, are we going to win a national championship? No. Are we going to win a super regional? No. Are we going to win a regional? No. Are we going to win our conference? Probably not.
What are we doing here?
And then he says, are we going to be 500? Maybe. Maybe. That's what he said. That was the speech. That was the motivational speech. And I remember we had a baseball house. I put on the baseball house in quotes, maybe, ... maybe. Thinking like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
If you were a coach and you said, hey guys, we're winning a national championship and we're going to do what we need to do to win it, and here's what it is, dude, I would have been a much better athlete, player, human being than, hey, we can have some fun.
Yeah.
We might be a good team.
If the standard is set above me, as long as I'm surrounded by people that truly care about me, let's go to war.
Yeah. No, seriously.
I'll die on that shield. You know what I'm saying?
So, but
I think that's the part that people miss, though.
yes.
Like it has to be genuine buy-in, and you only get genuine buy-in when you prove that, number one, you're willing to lead from the front.
Well, that's
as a
what
coaching staff.
Yes.
And that like past baseball, like, dude, like you're like you're my guy now.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have you.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
well, I mean, honestly, you know,
and I never felt that about my
Well,
coaches.
yeah.
I felt that they truly, at the end of the day, I was just a person on the team, and
Yeah.
it was whatever.
But
like,
I mean,
Rob's okay.
and,
Like,
and you know, this isn't about our business or the business, but like literally look at all the people who work at our business are all people that, hey, dude, you're my dude.
Yeah.
You know, we did those battles. We worked
when
you
we
know,
go to war, I need to know that, like, I know you're there with
it.
me. Yeah.
You know, and so it transcends, you know, and that's what I mean, you know, circle back to the very beginning of this with, hey, I'm on a bad team, but I happen to be a good player. Dude, if you just got to control the controllables and worry about yourself. And if you bring everything to the table and the expectations you have for yourself are so high, that's just human nature. Everyone else is going to wind up raising to your standard. That's just how humans work.
Yep.
So that would be my advice, right? We have an hour-long advice.
We got to balance, right? I got
Yeah.
balance,
Control what you can control.
Why don't you? Yeah. So why don't you end it here then?
Yeah, we're gonna bring on some people to discuss this with. I think some really successful coaches. Let's get their thoughts on the whole I'm a good player on a bad team. And coaches, what do you see as a differentiator between the dudes that are studs in terms of their approach to the game versus the guys that are either just average or looking for an excuse with a victim mentality? And then also the coaches that are, you know, the expectation of us from everyone else is here.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
How do you get your guys to buy into the fact that that's just made up noise?
Yeah.
We're going to the moon.
Yeah, those are great questions.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, cool.
Don't ask Mark Randolph that, or else I'll get really mad.